Couple more things about Dallas. Number one, on Derek Ward's touchdown that officially iced the game, watch what Mike Jenkins does on that play. I think there's a video of it on YouTube. If you can't find it, basically he stands there and lets Derek Ward run right past him. I don't know exactly how you react to something like that as a coach, but I would expect something to come of it. But I don't know if Phillips is going to be that guy. Just what we've seen of him, I don't know how he's going to react to that. Probably not in the way you would hope. Number two, I read something, this is just something I read, that the Cowboys are one of the few teams in the league, maybe even the only team in the league, that does not hit or use contact during practice. This is just something I heard. Maybe that tells us something about why they don't know how to tackle. Maybe that's why they seem to get hurt more often than other teams. Maybe that's why they're soft against the run. And another thing I heard, these are all just things I heard, and this is all I can go on, is that Wade Phillips only scheduled practices on Wednesday and Thursday this week, and basically told the team to go off and relax and do whatever they wanted over the long weekend. I don't know, if I was a Cowboys fan, I wouldn't be a fan of this stuff, because this is a team, it's not like last year where they were 13-3 and had a bye week and he said go off and do whatever you want. You'd earned it. That was a little different. It didn't work, but it was a little different. This time, they're 5-4, they're fighting for their playoff lives. If I was a Dallas fan, I wouldn't be a big fan of that. But these are just things I heard. Atlanta, Oakland. You don't see domination like this very much. I mean, you could not get more futile than the Oakland offense. They were at their best when fat man Jamarcus Russell bootlegged out of the pocket and ran. I mean, Jamarcus Russell, I don't know how much he weighs right now. I think it's like 270, 265. So when him bootlegging is your best offensive weapon, things are bad. He completed 6 of 19 passes, and can't get much worse than that. You know, it's partially him, it's partially the receivers. They had their biggest play on offense was a 24-yard run by Russell. Their next biggest was a 22-yard run by Russell. Nothing else went over 15 yards. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't pass the ball. They had like -2 total pass yards at the half. They ended up with 77 total yards of offense. They held the ball for less than 15 minutes. They only turned it over twice, so most of it was punts. 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. The Atlanta defense registered 22 tackles. The Oakland defense registered 88. I know Oakland's not a good team, but take all that in, because we don't see domination like that every week. You know, you can't really put anything on the Oakland defense. They got pretty good pressure. They did force 1 turnover. You know, a lot of guys got to pad their tackle stats because, well, Atlanta held the ball for more than 45 minutes. You know, I love the play calling from the Atlanta team. They ran the ball twice as much as they passed, more or less. They understood. Oakland's pass defense is pretty good. This was not Matt Ryan's day to throw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. This was his day to be productive with the 20 or so throws he would get, and that's what happened. I think they ended up calling like about 25 different pass plays. He completed all but 5 of those. He had a couple long touchdowns to Jenkins. It was the Michael Turner and Jarius Norwood show. They combined for over 200 yards rushing. They even got the practice squad guy, Snelling, Jason Snelling. I'm thinking he's a guy that I know from the practice squad, actually. So they did exactly what they needed to do when you play the the Raiders. They knew what was up with the play calling, something that the Jets did not. Oh, and John Abraham, 8 sacks. He's well on his way toward a Pro Bowl and some career redemption. He's having a nice season, even if it's a little inconsistent. Colts Pats. I had fun with this game. It wasn't too exciting, but I had fun with it because it was competitive and we saw quality play. Indianapolis had one penalty all night, and that one penalty went for 0 yards. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's a typo or just me not remembering. That is pretty flawless. New England, 2 penalties for 20 yards. A total of 2 turnovers. Fairly even TOP. It was a little toward New England. So this was a well-played game. Very well played. Let's start with the Colts. Peyton Manning, very efficient. Not holy crap, this guy's a future Hall of Famer stuff like he usually puts out there. But he was very efficient. Colts couldn't really run the ball. And I don't know what it is. But right now, Dominic Rhodes is outplaying Joseph Adai. So you can say it's the offensive line, and you'd be right. Because this offensive line is not run blocking well. But right now, Rhodes is playing better than Adai. And that has to change. Because Adai needs to be the best running back on this team. Back to Payne real quick. He spread it around. A whole bunch. They had 4 different receivers with 4 or 5 catches. Harrison, Gonzalez, Clark, Wayne. He was using everybody, and it was just working to perfection. Gonzo had the 2 nice touchdowns. On 3rd down, they were coming up with clutch throws. Clutch catches. Exactly what they needed. Vinatieri. First 50-yard field goal in like 6 years, and it comes against his old team and ended up being the game winner. He's like an old dog. You're ready to put him to sleep. He looks old. He's way past his prime. You just want to put him out of it and get him out of here, and then he does something like that, and you love him again. Because I don't trust Adam Vinatieri right now. He hasn't been very good the last 2 years, but he can always redeem himself with stuff like that. New England. Cassell, game manager extraordinaire. I mean, you could not ask more out of Cassell. He completed most of his passes. Near the end of the game, he got desperate, and what are you going to do then? He completed a lot of short passes. He came up with a lot of clutch 3rd down conversions. And, New England ran a lot of draws and was pretty productive on the ground. They weren't running for big yards or anything, but they were getting the yards they needed. It was, it's kind of weird that these teams combined for 33 points. Only 33. Because it looked better than that. Both teams were very efficient. It looked better than 33 total points. And Cassell, again, getting everyone involved. Moss, Falk, Welker. A lot of people catching passes. Thing is, when New England got to the red zone, and one of the interesting subplots of this game to me was basically both teams had secondaries that were extremely outmanned. So Indy just went, okay, we're going to play zones, we're going to give you short passes and wait for you to screw up. And really, New England did. They had to settle for field goals. New England was undermanned, but they decided to play the way that they usually did. And both strategies kind of worked and kind of didn't. They let up some long drives. They gave up some touchdowns. They also managed to keep the other team from scoring a ton of points. But at the end of the day, Indianapolis' strategy to just play back and give New England all the short stuff they wanted worked. And final note, David Thomas. I don't know why he isn't cut yet. He's a backup. He's a scrub. One mistake should be good enough for him to get out of there. I expect him to be out of there because that cost them probably a chance at a win. Ow. Last game of the week, Steelers, Redskins. Didn't like what I saw from play calling from Washington. Very questionable. I thought they got away from the run before they needed to. Guys like Cooley and Portis padded their receiving stats after the game was effectively decided. I do think Portis played a good game in spite of the loss when you consider what he was up against. And, really Cooley, he made some plays too. I don't want to take too much away from him. Washington could not get any big plays downfield. Couldn't get the ball to their big playmakers in Moss and Randall L. Couldn't get it into the end zone. They had a chance to go up big early and couldn't capitalize. What's his name? The cornerback, Carlos Rogers, dropped that pick 6. That was big. Washington's defense got more pressure than I thought they could. It wasn't enough, but they were getting good pressure. Pittsburgh, You know, Leftwich, he shows why you need a backup in this league sometime, because he came in and played well. Pittsburgh ran the ball pretty well. They came up with a couple big plays. I don't know what's going to happen with Ben right now, and great pressure from their defense, like 6-7 sacks, and I'm over the time limit, so I'm out.